let go, man, me won't go home.
Good morning. Good morning. The town hall will start in about 5 minutes, so if everybody could take their seats, and please silence all electronic devices until the conclusion of the town hall. Thank you.
The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My pants broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were two paths? I want to be in the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing unless your dream's stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, that's he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. So everybody's used to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You just need a pep talk. Create something that will make the world awesome.
If I could have everyone's attention, we have a very special message before we get started.
You
most talented, most interesting, and most extraordinary person in the universe. And you are capable of amazing things because you are this special.
Good morning and happy Valentine's Day.
Good morning and welcome to the Executive Office Directorate of Enterprise Operations Annual Town Hall. I am Mazella Thomas and this is
Claire Huntley.
and we will be your MCs for the event today. Please rise for the playing of the national anthem. Please be seated. Good morning to our team in Alexandria, Hanover, and Champaign.
We are here today to celebrate our accomplishments from this past year. Our leaders will also share some information that is important to all of us. At the end of the town hall, we will open the floor for questions.
I'd like to welcome ERDIC leadership joining us today. Dr. Jeff Holland, ERDIC Director via VTC, Ms. Pat Sullivan, ERDIC Associate Director, Colonel Brian Green, ERDIC Commander, Mr. Hank McDevitt, ERDIC Deputy to the Commander, and Lieutenant Colonel John Tucker, ERDIC Deputy Commander.
And other executive office leaders, Ms. Rhonda Taylor, Director of Office of Research and Technology Transfer, Dr. Gary Anderton, Director for Human Capital, Dr. Nikki Gerger, Director of Business Development, Ms. Debbie Quimby from Corporate Communication Office, and Mr. Bill Woodard from the Office of Counsel.
Directorate of Enterprise Operations Divisions and branch leaders joining us today. Mr. Bill Cantrell from Small Business, Ms. Linda Wilkerson from Equal Opportunity Office, Ms. Sissy Hudson from Business Resource Division and Resource Management, Ms. Amy Phillips from Public Affairs, Mr. Fred Reagan from Safety, Mr. Butch Lutz from Internal Review.
Mr. Bill Roth from Security, Mr. David Rogelio from DPW, Mr. Vince Derman from R&D Shops, and Mr. Mike Channel from Installation Support Division.
And our national organizations, Mr. Mike Orr from Contracting, Mr. Richard Pollett from USACE Logistics Activity, and Mr. Scott Podridge from ACIT.
As the executive office
And the Directorate of Enterprise Operations,
together we form the foundation of ERDIC, which is why our theme this year is building blocks. So as you can see, we have Legos around the room. Legos, the unique and singular purpose of a Lego block is to connect with another block. In Legos and in organizations, building always begins with the clicking sound of connection. Connecting builds a strong foundation, it unleashes the power of synergy, and it utilizes the strength of unity. Mazella, did you know that Legos have been enjoyed by children and adults since 1949?
wow, 1949?
Yes.
I wasn't even born then.
Me neither. As a matter of fact, the word Lego comes from a Dutch word that means play well. One Lego alone is worthless, but Lego blocks connected together are quite powerful.
So, as we celebrate our accomplishments today, may we remember that it is all of us connected together that creates ERDIC's success.
Please join me in welcoming Colonel Green as he comes to share some of the impressive accomplishments of the team this past year.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, welcome and thank you and everyone for attending today. It's great to see you all here and to have a chance to share in both congratulating our excellent team, our top performers, but also equally important today is the fact that we're all going to take a moment to share together a little bit of a lunch and a chance to congratulate each other and look everyone in each other's eyes and say thank you for being part of the team. Thank you for being one of the building blocks of ERDIC. It may seem like it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek or a little bit humorous, but I think it conveys the point of ERDIC and specifically the executive office and the DEO. So why did we choose Legos this year? Well, you've already heard part of it. It's because we all play well together and then we make the foundation upon which ERDIC moves. General Semonite loves to talk about three basic things. He loves to say that the Corps has got to do its foundational tasks, those bottom blocks over there underneath the castle. He loves to say that you got to deliver the projects. And then he loves to say, then you got to have great vision for the future, and that's the turrets on the top of the castle looking up into the sky. Colonel Tucker, Mr. McDevitt, always loved to say that the DEO and the EXO is the mortar that holds all the bricks of ERDIC together, creating this one solid enterprise. And I don't think we celebrate that enough in the DEO and the EXO, that you truly are the mortar and foundation upon which this entire enterprise is successful. The EXO and DEO provide a unique capability. You provide the foundation for compliance and professionalism and the keeping of the lights on all the campuses. You keep our people safe, healthy, and secure. We assist with the delivery of that program through contracting, through the creative talents of our folks in the DPW, through the R&D shops, through the ORT as they do technology transfer and handle all the operational concerns. We look to the future and shape the ERDIC through elements like the Resource Management Office that looks at our budget, through Human Capital Team that works for our workforce management, plans our programs, Manpower Division to make sure we have upward mobility and career progress available. Business Development is always looking for the future to make sure we have work coming in. And when I say work coming in, it's really the problems that are around the nation are infinite. We just need to be there to catch them. And that's what we do as the DEO and the ERDIC. We're all three blocks of that team. So the DEO, EXO provide the ability for ERDIC to play well as well. Through the Castle Club, for example, another piece of our foundation, through all the great events that we do all year long, creating that sense of community, and today is one of those moments where we try to create a sense of community. So I'm going to talk about a couple little things here. First of all, a lot of people wonder why we changed the name from the Command Support Division to the DEO. Well, I'm going to repeat what I've told some of you before. Our organization had not changed since 1998. 1998 was the last time the support staff of all the campuses was ever looked at and assessed and to determine how to make it the most effective and efficient organization that we could do. So when Mr. McDevitt came on, then Colonel Tucker and myself, one of the first steps, and fortunately it coincided with a manpower study, we were able to seek opportunities to reorganize the DEO and the EXO to be more effective, more efficient, by the way, to facilitate communication with the other 7 labs by reorganizing a little bit so that we speak the same language. So we reorganized into 2 divisions, and then we put in 2 division chiefs. Now it's a little easier for us to look the same and talk the same with those that we support and those that we lead. So the DEO has now become a new chapter in the history of ERDIC. We're now much quicker, more efficient. We're not as flat. We have bandwidth now to look to the future. We've put career opportunities in place. We've adjusted ancient TDAs. If you don't know what that is, Table of Organizations. We've still got some legacy positions out there that are from 1930. So it was kind of time to clean some of that up a little bit. But you know, while we did a name change, and we're kind of rebranding the DEO, and we're putting ourselves where we need to be, and we need to talk about and celebrate what we do, which is enterprise operations, you know, that little bit of change came with a little bit of risk. But in the 14 months when we enabled this change, I want to tell you about what you all did. I want to highlight your accomplishments. So last year, the DEO and the EXO itself hired 50 new employees, which are in your program. We lost 11 folks to retirement, but I don't think they would say they were lost. I think they're very happy out there on Eagle Lake fishing and enjoying it. The funny thing is they're already coming back, asking if they can come back to work, so I don't think we really lost anyone to retirement. In the executive office alone, underneath the ORT, the UROC has responded to approximately 2,800 requests for information from deployed forces and civil works organizations around the world. They responded to 10,000 individual requests for assistance. They held over 2,500 video teleconferences, and the Red Eye, which is the Reachback Engineer Data Integration System, basically has 13,000 new subscribers and 2 million pages of information. The Enterprise Business Development Office brought in their new executive officer, Teresa Joseph, and they led the first of its kind Big Idea Venture team, where 7 big ideas with over 90 scientists collaborated to come up with the future for the major programs for the ERDIC for the next decade. They also managed $14 million in center-directed research programs last year. They also hosted 14 visits from the international community. How many of you knew that we have liaisons spread all over the world to include the United Kingdom? Raise your hand if you knew there was folks. All right, I got one hand. So in that office alone, there's 14 liaisons all over the globe engaging with entities to talk about the future research of the nation. Human capital. So last year, they increased the workforce by 300 people. They hired 46 veterans, 16 wounded warriors. They put a contract in place where all new employees can have a tour and orientation of Vicksburg. They had 150 participants in leadership development programs. 117 ERDIC employees mentored 237 student interns, 12 summer camps, 444 students touched through the Human Capital Office. Sponsored 20 robotic teams with over 200 students, and by the way, just this week, we kept the first LEGO League robotic competition for the state finals here in Vicksburg. That's $190,000 in revenue, and over 5,000 students will come here this year to play in the state championships of the Robot League. Corporate communications. All of you have seen the digital signage boards. So you've all seen that. So you know right off the bat, corporate communications had a beautiful success this year. The idea was to increase the employee use of our internal media and access critical information. The goal was to reach 90% by 2019, but we're at 96% right now in 2016. How many of you are familiar with the Federal Employee Value Survey? You should be, because we all had to do those surveys, right? Well, our composite score was supposed to be at 80% by 2020, and we're increasing 6% every year in the quality of life here at the ERDIC that is replicated through that Federal Employment Value Survey. And the number one thing is communication between leadership and our employees and our supervisors. And the Corporate Communication Office is exceeding that across the board. They published over 50 articles last year. They oversaw the first ever ERDIC Town Hall with live streaming and Q&A to all of our remote locations. That was a big event last year. A lot of stress on that, trying to have VTCs all around the continent and get everybody, all 2,500 employees there listening in. They've also provided testimony last year to the director when he appeared in front of the House Armed Services Committee, helping to not only defend our budget, but to be complimented by Congress because of the lives that ERDIC saves. And that was all done here by us. So I already mentioned we stood up the Installation Support Division with Mike Channel, selected as the acting chief of the Installation Support Division. We brought on a master planner with Jack Wielden. We've got a headquarters building that's going to be finished here, and we'll start moving into it at the beginning of the fall. And last year, they fought a humongous battle with headquarters to make sure we had the funding in place to complete all the AV and furniture outfitting in there so we move into a turnkey facility. Not only that, they've got a big project ahead of them. This is the future, $350 million and infrastructure improvements across all of our campus over the next decade. That's what those two gentlemen right now have to achieve and lead. By the way, that was a task. That's on your form. Internal Review Office conducted over 50 internal reviews, and at this point, neither Hank or myself or Colonel Tucker have gone to jail. Round of applause for internal review. All right, to our heroes in blue out there, they're out there in our best and worst weather that Mississippi, New Hampshire, and Illinois can throw at them. The security office last year was recognized as the best Department of the Army security guard force, and they were recognized for having the best training program that's now being replicated all across the Department of the Army. They also diligently competed for and got an additional $500,000 in funding to improve our CCTV and our security across the entire base and set of campuses. They also conducted over 2 million vehicle inspections last year at the front gate and 4,000 clearance and travel requests. DPW, the Fab Lab. All I can say is those guys are amazing. $15 million in operations and maintenance work every year, $4.3 million in R&D support to our ERDIC labs, and almost another $7 million to other customers fabricating prototypes and R&D research environment. All right, let's see here. As I keep going, I'm going to ask you guys to help me with something. So, we never talk about health and safety that much. We never really talk about the nurses, and today, by the way, one of our nurses is actually down at the district, and another one of our nurses is right here on the phone, and she's the recipient of the Commander's Award, but she can't be here with us. On the count of three, everybody congratulate Ruth for earning the Commander's Award today. Last year alone, Ruth did over 2,800 service calls, and she had to manage the only doctor in the entire Corps of Engineers at a site. And Leslie, like I said, is down at the Vicksburg office. And Ruth, I apologize for embarrassing you on the phone. But you can never... They can't see me. No, they can't see you, but they can hear you on the microphone. She also did 144 students trained in first aid, CPR, and AED last year, 344 donors of the blood drive, and 430 shots for flu. And if Ruth really was going to say something right now, she has 50 more shots, and if you don't have your flu shot, you're going right from here to there. Ruth, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I think she's crying. Ruth, I'm going to go ahead and drop the phone at this point. All right, environmental compliance with the Omaha District. The safety guys saved $100,000 in contracts last year. More importantly, the safety folks saved us and kept our nuclear compliance and radioactive testing capabilities in place. We came that close last year to losing that capability, and they were able to put all the compliance back in place and keep us in business doing nuclear-based research. Let's see here. They did they managed 50 radiation dosimeters, so there are 69 employees out there that are currently radioactive. If you want the list, we post on the website. You can avoid them. All right. Moving on, Equal Opportunity Office. You know what? We had no formal complaints last year. Equal Opportunity does a great job of facilitating communication between management, employees, and making sure that we have a healthy culture here in the workplace. I just can't say enough about the Equal Employment Office, even though they kind of run in the background. And they do have the onerous task that this year they've got to give the SHARP and the No Fear training, and they were able to do that at 97% completion rate. So our second division, the Business Support Division, RM, Resource Management, 100% complete on their DoD-FM certification. They participated in the manpower study, and they protected, and everybody needs to clap on this, right? They protected 2,271 positions at ERDIC. We all still have a job due to the efforts of the manpower folks underneath the Resource Management Division. Special shout out for Amber, who, by the way, completed the Defense Emerging Leader Program. Amber, job well done. All right, Public Affairs. All right, so I don't know if you know this, we now have a history program. We hired Terry Winchell, former park guide down there. He's now actually got a budget this year. You're going to see our tanks and our cool experiments get back out on display, and we are going to be a public-facing entity communicating the history of this organization and the amazing things that we have done over the last 90 years through an outreach program that we've got Terry on board to do underneath the Public Affairs Office. They coordinated over 125 senior leader visits. They had over 3,400 visitors last year, and that does not count, because we don't even count all the school visits, which was close to 200. So they almost had a different school in here every day for 365 days of the year. They've increased their social media presence, 31% increase on Facebook, 48% increase on Twitter, and 49% on LinkedIn. So hands off to PAO for being the voice of Verdict and telling our story. And it's your story. They were the ones that did that great 15-minute video of showing all of you in action doing what we do every day. Sometimes the unsung heroes, but not today. Today we're singing your praises. So, national organizations, EULA. Well, all I can say is we joined the $1 Million Club this year with $1 million in cost savings to the federal government from EULA's attempts through a combination of the spring cleanup and using the Defense Reutilization Marketing Office. Join the $1 Million Club, and our intent is to keep that going for the next decade as we go forth and try to, again, get our antiquated methodology of doing hand receipts into the future. So they're leading the charge on that. Little bumps and bruises this year, that's okay. Because as we go forward, you know, as they say, you kind of got to go through purgatory to get to heaven. And the EULA is doing a great job of leading us to heaven here on hand receipt and supply accountability. They reduced flippals, by the way, for those of you that have to send them to me, from 285 days down to 70. Now, if I can just figure out where all the property disappeared to, it'll be good. Contracting office, best in all of DOD with an average of 60 days for most contract actions. DOD's average is 190 days. That has occurred in the last year through a combination of the working group and Mike Orr and his team reorganizing, re-engaging, and taking a look at how they can be the best in practice. They did almost 2,000 actions and $144 million in obligations last year, and they caught up on closeouts, closing out almost 1,230 closeouts and $21 million in de-obligation, which came back to us so that we could use it for other activities. New contracting warrants, by the way. Landers Grant, Jenny Jabor, Tom Newson, congratulations on becoming KOs. Fantastic job. Round of applause, please. All right, ACIT. Yes, we have wonderful things to say about ACIT. They saved us $45,000 last year, migrating all of CHL and numerous folks in the DEO over using in-house labor versus contracting it out. They did over 250 order track orders, 20,000 remedy tickets. And I know I probably caused at least 7,000 of those remedy tickets myself. Or actually I caused Vicky to do 7,000 remedy tickets for me. Okay. 1,100 new accounts, 2,050 pieces of new software installed, deleted over 380 accounts dating all the way back to the 1930s, and 115 audio and web conferencing requests. So from me to all of you, congratulations on a job well done, the huge volume that you all did last year. It is amazing what we do every day, and we don't necessarily communicate as well as we should about how we keep this whole place running and humming. So what's next? What's the future? All right, I'm gonna be a little cheesy here too. The future is so bright, you really do need to wear sunglasses. I couldn't say shades, I got in trouble for plagiarizing, so have to wear your sunglasses. Our contracting, our DPW and fabrication shops, those are all growth areas. They are so good at best of practice that other entities in the Corps and the federal government are bringing work here. So those two centers alone are in a growth area of this organization. As we reorganized and we adjusted some of the manpower and positions, we now have upward mobility for almost all of our functional areas for all of our staff. Taking that a step further, Mr. McDevitt has been working with Hines Community College to bring in a technician's degree. Now, that's just what they call it, but it's good for computer science, for administration, for craftsmen, for megatronics, for unmanned aerial systems, For computer technology, security can actually now get an associate's degree or certificates to continue their education and compete in a comprehensive education program here at the URTIC. Strong Army Family Readiness Group here. They actually serviced almost 200 employees last year with various needs and benefits that the Army provides. It is a stressful job, not just for the military, but for all of our civil employees. URTIC actually deploys by percentage more folks to all these various contingencies, everywhere from Baton Rouge to Afghanistan, than most of the other districts do. And again, that's a kudo to all of you for being motivated and selfless. And all I can do is say thank you. And with that in mind, the West Castle Club then always tries to do their best to make sure this is a great community to work in, a great place to work. And last year, we've increased the height of the Christmas tree by 5 feet. We had Christmas lights on the campus, and that went incredibly well. And that was all volunteers, self-generated. They've got a Mardi Gras float that they're going to do here on the 25th, which everyone's invited to. And that's what I love about this environment and this community. It's everybody giving across the entire front of both social, work, and the professionalism you all provide. So, the last piece I want to point out is, did you know that the URTIC, and specifically DEO EXO, was in the top 25 percentile of the best places in the federal government to work? Did you know that? I know some days we get down here and we're like, man, this place sucks, right? But in reality, based off of the survey results, you all have said this is a great place to work, and I know that me and my wife think it's a great place to work. And so, again, a personal thanks from me and my family for making URTIC a wonderful place to be. Well done. Top 25 of 300 federal entities, best place to work in all the federal government. So, to close out here, before we pass it over to actually doing the physical awards, I'm going to quote the gentleman that you heard before. Everything is awesome. You are all the most talented, most interesting, and trust me, you're interesting, and most extraordinary people in the URTIC. You're capable of amazing things, and it is awesome to stand up here today and have a chance to recognize all of you. So with sincere thanks, I will now turn this over to Colonel Tucker as we present 3 steel DeFlurries and the rest of the awards for today. Thank you very much.
United States Army Engineer Regiment presents the Steel DeFlurry to soldiers and civilians to recognize their selfless service to the Engineer Regiment. The history of the DeFlurry Medal dates back to the Revolutionary War. In 1777, Francois Louis T. DeFlurry, a French engineer, volunteered to serve with the American Army in its fight for independence from Britain. The Continental Congress appointed DeFlurry as a captain of engineers, and he quickly proved himself. Wounded at battles at Fort Milford, Brandywine, where his horse was actually shot out from under him, he soon rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel. But it was a desperate battle at Stony Point, New York in 1779 that DeFlurry's courage under fire won him accolades from Congress. American reinforcements were quickly moved into position north of Stony Point by General Washington. He really thought there was no hope of recapturing the fort that was once a colonial bastion. A recently formed light infantry corps led by a daring Brigadier General Mad Anthony Wayne consisted of a hand-picked combat veterans. The group was made up of 4 regiments of about 340 men each. Colonel Christian Old Denmark Fabergé headed the 1st Regiment with DeFlurry as his second in command. On July 15th, the Corps attempted to recapture Stony Point, a risky assault to take a total place in darkness. Fixed bayonets, hand-to-hand combat were the orders of the day. Wayne's column had no sooner sloshed into the waist-deep water before the British picket line sent the alarm. During the fierce fighting, both Wayne and Fabergé both suffered stunning head wounds. The Continentals scrambled up the rocky slope with DeFleury in the lead. First, over the wall, DeFleury was followed by a wave of American bayonets. Rushing to the flagpole, DeFleury cut the British colors from their staff. So it was on that day, 1 October 1779, DeFleury stood before the Continental Congress to be praised for his valor at Stony Point by the men who had penned the Declaration of Independence and would later sign the Constitution. For his intrepid behavior, the Continental Congress awarded a medal struck in his honor. The Engineer Regiment adopted the DeFleury Medal as an award because of the values demonstrated by the man whom it was struck. Values of special meaning to engineer soldiers. It is understood that the DeFleury Medal was the first congressional medal struck, if not the first medal authorized. At this time, would Janice Sessoms please come forward? The Steel DeFleury Medal is awarded to Janice Sessom. She is commended for her exceptional service to the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center and to the United States Army Engineer Regiment. In recognition of her superior service to the Engineer Regiment as it supports the Army to assure mobility enhancement protection, enable expeditionary logistics, and build capacity in order to provide commanders a freedom of action required for full spectrum operations in an era of persistent conflict. These efforts have significantly contributed to the overall readiness of the Army and reflect great credit upon herself, the United States Army, and the Army Corps of Engineers. Mr. Craig A. Hancock, would you please come forward? The Steel DeFleury Medal is awarded to Craig A. Hancock. Mr. Hancock is commended for his exceptional service to the United States Army Engineer Research and Development Center and to the United States Army Engineer Regiment. He is a critical team member and key leader in the development of Reachback Engineer Data Integration System that provides support to engineers throughout the Department of Defense. His technical expertise has led to multiple unique solutions and capabilities within Red-Eye, and his leadership, customer relationship, management, and communication skills have been a major contributing factor to the successful growth of the program. Mr. Hancock exhibits great initiative, innovative forward thinking, and superb leadership skills, all of which have resulted in exceptional accomplishments and performance of his duties and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Army Engineer Regiment. I'd like to quickly recognize one more of our employees that could not make it. Mr. Albert Winchell will be awarded the Steel DeFleury at another time. Foundation Awards. The theme this year is designed to show that we are a foundation of the ERDIC. While all executive office and DEO members comprise a winning team, we thought we would highlight a few highlight a few employees that comprise this winning team and that went above and beyond this year. As your name is called, please come forward for your foundation award and remain for the group photo. You'll be coming over here to my right, your left. You know, somebody made the comment that an engineer just could not keep their hands off Legos. All right, for the Equal Opportunity Office, will Mr. James Hughes come forward? Yes, sir. For the Resource Management and Business Support Division, will Ms. Mazzella Thomas come forward, please? For the Public Affairs Office, will Miss Sarah Robinson please come forward? For the Safety Environmental Office, will Mr. Richard Hudson please come forward? For the Internal Review Office, will Miss Sheila Fowler please come forward? For the Security Office, will Miss Christina Long, who is listening via live stream while visiting at Krell. Are you online, Christina? If you're not, acknowledge her. The Directorate of Public Works, Mr. Tony King, will you please come forward, please? For the R&D shops, will Mr. Mickey Blackman please come forward, please? For the Installation Support Division, will Mr. Bill Roth come forward, please? For the Office of Research and Technology Transfer, will Miss Laura Maxwell come forward, please? For the Directorate of Human Capital, will Mr. Stephen Snow please come forward? For the Contracting Office, Ms. Ashley Jenkins. and accepting on her behalf. Ashley, you look different. For ACIT, Ms. Pat Caldwell, will you please come forward? For business development, will Mr. John Atkinson, listening via live stream, and accepting on his behalf. All right, lastly, I want to recognize two individuals that could not be here today. EULA, Mr. Gregory Thomas, and up in Hanover, our council, they were unable to be here today, but we will present them their awards at a later opportunity. So once again, let's give all the recipients a big hand. Tighten up for the photo. If you're taller than the person in front of you, please step forward or step back. One of ERDIC's key priorities is to invest in its employees and develop future leaders through training and development activities as part of the ERDIC Leadership Development Program. LDP provides ERDIC federal employees with the opportunity to refine their leadership skills by applying them through direct interaction with ERDIC leadership. We would now like to recognize the LDP participants. If you would, please stand. Your program insert features a list of coworkers across all sites who retired in the fiscal year 16. We are grateful for their legacy of achievements and the footsteps to follow. It also lists the length of service of our teammates starting at 5 years through 45 years. We appreciate and thank you for your commitment to the ERDIC and the great work being done here. With this being said, I wanted to specifically recognize three people: Mr. Harold Balbuck, Eugene James, and Marjorie Lopez. They have achieved their 40-year service pins. We recognize that our employees are the building blocks of the organization, and whether you are just beginning your career or at the end of your career, we applaud you all. Additionally, the program lists new employees who have joined the Executive Office and the Directorate of Enterprise Operations during FY16. If you are a new member of the ERDIC team, please stand so that we can acknowledge you. We would now like to welcome Ms. Pat Sullivan to the stage to give the Executive Office update for Dr. Jeff Holland.
Thank you. It is truly my honor to be with you today as we celebrate the accomplishments of the Executive Office and the Directorate of Enterprise Operations team, a great team of professionals without whom we could not, absolutely could not succeed as an organization. This town hall is designed to celebrate the fact that the Executive Office and DEO team are the glue, and you've heard it described as glue or mortar and the foundation that holds ERDIC together. The critical piece that keeps this ERDIC structure strong. The knowledge you bring to work every day and the support you provide allows our engineers, scientists, and technicians to do what they do best. Your expertise in business and administrative operations allow them to provide innovative solutions to challenges facing our soldiers and the nation every day. President John F. Kennedy said that change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. We are currently in a time of transition. Obviously, there's been a change in administration at the national level and an imminent change in leadership at the ERDIC. While change is inevitable, how we handle it says much about us. This time of transition affords us an opportunity to look towards the future and keep doing what we do best, continuing to excel throughout changing times. As for our people, we will continue to recruit and develop the best and brightest. Yes, we are currently in a hiring freeze, but as soon as it is lifted, we will continue to execute our aggressive hiring strategy. As for our program, we remain financially strong and solvent, and we will continue our excellent customer relations with our current partners and stakeholders, and we are actively pursuing new, larger, multidisciplinary programs to poise us for future success. As for our facilities, and I'm sure Colonel Green will talk about that more specifically in a little while, we are formalizing our infrastructure planning processes and making preparations, as you all know, if you just drive through the center of the campus, to move the vast majority of the Executive Office and DEO staff to a new state-of-the-art facility right in the center of the campus that will help us further enhance our collaborations across the enterprise. So I don't know about you, but I am very excited about what's to come, and I hope that you will be too. Again, you are truly the best at what you do. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And we thank you so much for your service to ERDIC, our soldiers, and the nation. And we really could not do what we do without you. Thanks.
At this time, we will begin the answer and question session from the audience. We will have 2 microphones, which can be brought up to anybody who has a question. Please wait until you have a microphone so that all your teammates can hear. At this time, Colonel Green, will you please join us up here on stage?
Okay, so this is the town hall portion of the town hall where the town gets to holler at the people up on the podium. So, are there any current questions out there, concerns that anybody has a burning interest in? Wow, this is perfect. Everything's clear as mud. Well, we're good. No. All right, in all seriousness, the hiring freeze. I hope we're communicating as well as we can with the hiring freeze. And if you're not, the best part that I can tell you about the hiring freeze is every day they work a release or a retraction of another component. So every day, Pat and the HR team usually find some new return of authority that they had. The only other piece that I can really add to that, unless you have a specific question, is there is a very strong indication that reimbursable agencies of the federal government will probably be released, can't give you time, but we'll say in the next 60 days or so, once they get through the entire review of what all the federal agencies must do as they look at whether or not to cap, reduce, or strengthen certain agencies to support the new administration's plan. Pat, anything you want to add to that? They give me these answers before I come up here, by the way. All right, so that was the executive order on the hiring freeze. Any questions about the future? Everybody want to know what day you're moving into the new headquarters building? I see a few nods here. All right, I can't be precise, but right now we expect to accept the building on or about the 1st of August for beneficial occupancy, at which point then we'll put furnitures, communications, and things like that in there. Major JMO is the project manager at this point, and he will start a phased approach by offices to moving into the new headquarters building. Early movers are probably security, safety, health. Late movers are most likely going to be RM and contracting. We don't want them to move till after the end of the calendar year and closeout is done, so they may not move as late as November or December possibly. And everybody else will be somewhere in the middle. I'm planning on moving my office in on 1 August because the phones won't be connected and I should be able to have a quiet week or two. So, anything else specific on that one? There will be a coffee shop in there. The LDPers are working through the process of finding a vendor to occupy one of the spaces down on the first floor in the main area, which is a collaboration space, right? Our grand entrance, or our grand hall, so to speak, a place to demo and display our technologies to our visitors and guests. That was one of its primary functions. And in there we will have a coffee shop in some manner, shape, or form. I believe the Lighthouse for the Blind is here this week doing their assessment. If they choose not to, then we'll move out to more commercial venues. So, but there will be a coffee shop. Yes, ma'am. So ERDIC not only has the West Castle Club, right? We also have a ERDIC Chamber of Commerce Club, and that's one of the ways we communicate with the city. Also, the command team communicates through the chamber, through the Economic Development Foundation, and through the mayor's office and the Board of Supervisors, our requirements and needs as a federal entity. And the chamber has definitely heard us loud and strong. We have provided them our demographics. We told them how many folks are coming to support our mission as we continue to grow, expand, and rebalance our in-house work portfolio versus what we send out. And so what they've got is they've got several developers now that are moving full steam ahead with various development projects. As a matter of fact, we were just told last week, one on the Mississippi Bluffs just went through the permitting process and was finally granted all of its construction permits. There's a development going off right up here on Indiana Avenue, which is about another 50 units. Still working with a few folks to try to find more mid-income, or you're a brand new employee to ERDIC and Vicksburg and Mississippi, and you may not have vested with us yet, right? We may not have totally got you trapped in here. So we haven't found that house yet or that development for you all, but there's several interested vendors that we're talking to and giving them, again, the demographics and the wants and needs of the employees. So I think you're actually going to see kind of a little growth spurt here over the next 6 months to 12 months of folks actually investing in the infrastructure of Vicksburg and Warren County to provide some new housing or to even start renovating some of the older legacy housing from the 60s and 70s and bringing it back up to what folks are looking for now in the marketplace. I will add, I got multiple queries from folks about childcare, and while we cannot provide childcare on the center, we have reached out to the community, and we've had some interest from a couple different private childcare centers, but the one most recent that is moving full speed ahead, again, based off our demographics, is St. Francis. Literally within the next 60 days, they'll be reaching out to all federal employees saying early enrollment for childcare from 0 to 3 at St. Francis. And that gives a lot of folks that use them already a one-stop shop for all their age range. So, and that was just based off of us communicating our demographics and our need. Then investors and entrepreneurs felt comfortable to take the risk to start. So that's one of many that the ball is rolling on. I have also heard, deal's not done yet, but where the Greyhound bus station is, there's supposed to be a Starbucks. So the city has been reaching out through an entity known as Retail Coach to Starbucks, and they've been working a deal. So no guarantees, but it looks like that one's going to come through. Yes, ma'am. By the way, Dr. Holland's in the back, so if you have any questions for him, he'll be happy to defer them all back to me.
I have gotten several calls about the new telework rollout plan for March 1st. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Well, what I can say is actually there's not a new plan. There is a roll everything out, get ourselves back in compliance, and follow the guidelines as addressed by OMB. It's just a routine cycle anyways. All telework agreements have to be updated, but we have noticed that we have drifted out of compliance with the OMB circular, and so there shouldn't be anything new, but we can talk about the details, but we are just simply following the guidelines as put out by the OMB circular. Okay. I mean, like I said, there's nuances to it, but. All right, last call. With that said, then, Mr. McDevitt, if you'll come up and close out the ceremony today. Again, thank you all. You truly are amazing, and I'm not saying that just to go with the theme. You really are.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we're living our dream.
They knew I couldn't do that, so they put it up there. I look around the room, first thing that comes to mind when I walked over here is, wow, the attendance today is fantastic. I want to thank each of y'all for coming out today. It's great. Hopefully, as you've looked around at the videos that have been shown, the folks that have talked, an opportunity, if you haven't, pick up a program, read the director's comments in the front. You know, ERDIC truly is a world-class R&D organization. Each of you supports our nation and our civil works mission, our environmental compliance missions, and our warfighters. The other thing that we don't talk about a lot is we're a $1.1 billion business. So we're not just an R&D organization, we're a business as well. And many components sitting in this room actually impact that and control it greatly. And that's a significant accomplishment, and a lot of those were highlighted today. You know, we're one of the few organizations in EXO DEO that reaches across all 4 sites, touches all 7 laboratories in the ORT. Our mission is very diverse and broad. And with that, each one of you in this room brings not only your special, unique skills, talents, and abilities that make you an individual, but when comprised together, makes you a very dominant contributing team to the ERDIC population. The ERDIC DEO comprises about 15% of the ERDIC workforce, so very significant. We reach across all lines. One thing we probably don't do enough is get out and see who our neighbors are. So if you'll look in a room around here today, and we're going to have lunch here in a few minutes, it's an opportunity to mix and mingle with folks that you may have seen, you may not know. Introduce yourself. It's a great opportunity. Today's program came about with a lot of hard work, and I want to recognize a few of those folks. Our layout and our printing today for our programs came from ACID. Our facilities were provided by ITL. They let us graciously come in here today. Our food, which will be over here in the next room, is being provided by our cafeteria and that which y'all have brought individually. Our security team has helped us find parking places. He got us in here and basically watches over us, and as the Colonel said, every day out in the rain, the heat, occasional snow and ice, they're out there doing their job. And our Town Hall Committee, I want to recognize you especially. Please stand for what you have done. Come on. Thank you for what you've done. This is going to conclude our town hall for today. I'm going to ask our Vicksburg team to stay seated, and those at our remote sites, I hope you have a good rest of the day. Free to go on and sign off. I do want to mention that this spring our RM team is planning a potluck social sometime probably around the May time frame, so be on the lookout for more of that. We're going to try to get together at least twice a year as early DEO and have some kind of a just a casual, whether I grill hot dogs and hamburgers or whatever the case may be, get together, hopefully when the weather's good. So be on the lookout more for that. A couple ending notes. When we go out of here today, our lunch is going to be over here to our left. Please go out the 2 doors in the back.